Howdy y'all, Fuzzy Biker here at Baxter Cycle in the mighty mini truckless of Marnie, and today's motorcycle is my personal Royal Enfield Himalayan 411. This is a 2021 model. I've had it for almost 3 years. I think about it next October will be 3 years, and I've got 30,000 miles on it, over 30,000 miles on it. I've been all over. I've been down to Arkansas and almost to Colorado. I've been to Wyoming, South Dakota, Kansas, Nebraska, all over Nebraska, Minnesota. I think I went out to Illinois, down to Missouri, several times in Missouri, and I've had all kinds of fun with it. I've done all kinds of neat things to it. It's just kind of done it all. And so what is it? It's a single cylinder, air-cooled, oil-cooled, 411cc, single overhead cam, 2-valve, very plain motor, puts out about 24 horsepower, and it has a 5-speed transmission. It's been called tractor-like. I will tell you right now, it is tractor-like. It's a clunky shifting chain drive motorcycle that makes all kinds of weird noises, and I absolutely love it. I think it's my all-time favorite, single favorite motorcycle I've ever owned. I've owned a lot of motorcycles, so I think I can say that with confidence. So that's the engine, 24 horsepower, 24 foot-pounds of torque. That's about 32 newton meters, something like that, I think. It's other key features that you should know about is, the big one is the suspension. And we'll start with the front tire. It's got a 21-inch front tire, tube tire. I think it's a 90-90-21. It's got 41 millimeter tubes on the front with about 8 inches of travel, 7.9 inches of travel. I think that's 200 millimeters. It's got a 300 millimeter disc brake on the front with a dual piston Barbary caliper right there, and anti-lock, of course, front and rear. I do have a different tire on it. This is the second tire on this bike, so 30,000 miles. I think I got 12,000 out of the stock Seat tire on the front. Then I put this Dunlop Trail Max Mission tire, which has done me well. So that'd be about 18,000, right? It's getting to the point to where it needs replaced, but it's still safe. It's still a good tire. So that's the magic of the front end. I did raise the front fender up a little bit. Right after I got this bike, I found myself in a mud road and I had to push the bike out because the mud froze up the front tire, and it was all kinds of fun. It's a tube tire. When I put the new front tire on the front, I found the heaviest inner tube I could find. It was twice the weight of a normal inner tube. So I've got a heavy inner tube, I've got a heavy front tire, and there's a lot of gyroscopic force there, which makes the bike very stable, but it does make it handle a little heavy, quite a bit heavy. It's a very heavy handling bike. On the rear, I've got it's got 7.1 inches of travel. It's a monoshock on the rear. 7.1 inches of travel. That's about 180 millimeters. The back, it's a swing arm back end, dual-sided swing arm, chain drive, of course. The tire is I don't know what size the tire is. I think it's a 120, 90, 17. And I've got a Dunlop Trail Max Mission on here. This is the second one I've had on here. So the third tire on the bike. The stock Seat I got about 4,000 miles out of. Got a staple in it. It was wore to pieces. I put one of these on here. I wore that tire out, and now this is the second one on there. And this one's starting to square up, but it's not too bad. 240 millimeter disc on the back with a single piston Barbary caliper. Amazingly, these bikes come with center stands. Thank goodness, right? Just a heck of a bike. I've got about 8.6 inches of ground clearance. That's about 220 millimeters. And I've never bottomed this bike out, amazingly. And I've done a lot of, back roading with this. I've done a lot of hard stuff. I've done a lot of bouncing around and stuff that should have made it bottom out. But I'd say the suspension on this thing is great. Seat height in stock form should be about 31.5 inches or about 800 millimeters. I put this, these are my Noru gloves. I put the seat concept seat on here. I love that seat. And I got a seat height of about 840 millimeters or about 33 inches. The bike in stock form is supposed to weigh about 440 pounds. That's about 200 kilograms. And I'm sure this one weighs a little more. I've put a bunch of add-ons. So what add-ons do I have on there? I already told you about the tires. I've got, I put these bar ends on. I put these mirror extenders on. I put this massive windshield. This is the biggest windshield I could find. I put this, headlight guard on the front. I already told you about raising the fenders. Did the seat. I did not put bar risers on. I did put this air pressure monitoring system on there because I would be driving along, you'd hit some different gravel, and you'd think, oh, I got a flat tire or what? Well, now I can just look at that thing and it'll tell me what my air pressure is. Moving back to the back, I put these little tiny racks on. They had the big racks. I didn't want those, so I put the little racks on with this these little tiny bags, and that has done me well over the years. I'm very happy with that setup. Here's my Bigfoot sticker. One thing I wish I would have put on was a bigger rack on the back. This one's worked pretty well. You know, like I said, I've been all over the place. I did put a larger foot on the kickstand, so the original foot is just very small and absolutely useless on a bike like this on an ADV. So I got this medium-sized one right here. And that did okay, but it wasn't big enough. So I made myself this aluminum foot at a 1/4 inch. And that has been absolutely great. Absolutely great. The engine is dead stock, even the air filter, the pipe, everything. You know, I didn't put a cam in it. I didn't put a fuel X. I did not put any of that stuff on it. I wanted to see how it worked as it is. And I think it's done pretty well. Oh, by the way, 4-gallon gas tank. I don't know what that would be, about 16 liters, maybe, something like that. 15, 16 liters. Very good motorcycle, very good motorcycle. You know what? I think I am going to gear up and we are going to go for a ride. Wahoo! So having had this bike for about 30,000 miles, it has gone through the gamut. It has a lot of interesting noises and sounds, and I've wore it out and I've rebuilt it and I've done this and then that to it. One of the things I'm curious about is what other motorcycles out there, Himalayans, have more than 30,000. I know there's some out there. I would love to have you tell me about them. Tell me about, if you have the YouTube links, or you know, can tell me where to look. I'd love to see them. I'd love to hear about them. I love this bike. It's, like I said, it's my favorite bike, so I'd love to hear more about other people with this kind of mileage on their bikes and what they've done with them. But look at this thing. Turns like a dream. You know, you're way up in the air. You're kind of stilted up in the air, but look how nice that works. Just a beautiful thing. Oh, I forgot to mention this Garmin. I put that Garmin on here a while back. Wheelbase on this hot rod is, let me think about that. I think it's 58 inches, something like that. I think it's 1,473 millimeters, if I'm remembering correctly. But you know, it's something I've rode so many miles on this thing, I'm just absolutely used to it. So I think, like I said, 58 inches. 1,473 millimeters, if I'm remembering correctly. Look at how it turns. Absolutely no troubles at all. And here I am going into the dirt, right? I did tell you that the power was a whopping 24 horsepower. You know what? Let's go over here and take a look in the mirror. I want to show you how tall this thing is. Now, I just said it was tall. I don't consider this a tall motorcycle. It's about a 33-inch seat height. There it is. So I'm on my tiptoes there. Not terribly high, but on my tiptoes nonetheless. It's a good looking bike in my eye. When I got it, I thought it was very tractor-like, and yes, it is very tractor-like. That's a common term that everybody uses to describe this bike, and I have to agree with it. You know, it's got the big whopping single-cylinder engine. There's a lot I can tell you about this engine. You know, it uses oil, for instance, very little, but you have to keep your eye on it. You know, it's dependable. It always starts. It just does everything it's supposed to. I put the big windshield on there because I'd gone on a long ride one day, and I just got beat to death by the weather. Look at that thing. I love the way the tires look on this thing. Anyway, so I thought, hey, time for a good old windshield. So I found this one. Wahoo! Hey, next time you all are in the mighty mini metropolis of Marnie, Iowa, get yourself over here, right there, to the Derailed Grill. Try their Wahoo burger. I've had several of those in the last couple weeks. Very good. So the Derailed Grill is open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday from I think about 5 o'clock on a Sunday. I'm not sure of the hours. But darn good burger. Go in there and tell them you want one. Tell them Fuzzy Biker sent you. So since this is a 30,000 mile review, I'm really not quite sure what to tell you all about it. I mean, I can tell you the basics, but you know that already if you've been watching my channel. You know how much I love it. You know how I've taken it all over the country. Within the Midwest, I should say, all over the Midwest. I've taken it camping, I've taken it, you know, I've done all kinds of stuff with it. And I've been caught in the rain for miles and miles and miles. You know, it just always works right. It just always does what it's supposed to. It always starts. It's dead reliable. I keep saying it's built like a stone axe. You know, it's just one giant lump of a motorcycle. It always does what it's supposed to do. And that's really one of its key traits. I was talking with a friend of mine one day, and I said, you know, it isn't what it's capable of doing, or you know, that it handles so well, or that it has so much power or anything like that, because it doesn't. It isn't particularly great at any of those things, but it's rather the fact that it does everything you could possibly want to do relatively well. The only thing it won't do is go fast, you know. Kind of a joke of mine. What, you know, my Himalayan will do anything except go fast. I've gone through mud, sand. I've driven, you know, across Nebraska on it. I've had it in the mountains. You know, I've had it in Wyoming. You know, not Montana. I've had it in Wyoming. I've had it in South Dakota. You know, through the sandhills of Nebraska a couple different times. It just does it right, and it does it really well. And I've really become attached to this bike. It's when I look at it, it makes me feel good. You know, when I ride it, I really feel good. It's a very comfortable machine in every way. And you know, I don't know how to say this, but its time is coming near. You know, the new Himalayans are supposed to be out in literally a matter of weeks. We don't know the exact day, but I do have a pre-order in for one, so there's that. Am I gonna, you know, is getting rid of this the right thing to do? And that has been a question I've asked myself every single day for the last couple months. You know, when you've had a motorcycle that just does everything for you and does it right and makes you feel so good, do you get rid of it and get a different one? Well, my hope is that the new Himalayan has enough of the same characteristics, plus a little more power, plus modern gear, that it just, you know, it replaces this one in a good way. You know, it does it right. We've talked about rebuilding this one, you know, getting a new top end, maybe a 462 kit, and camming it up, and, you know, Fuel X, and a special intake system, and a head to tailpipe, head to all the way to the tailpipe, you know, stuff like that. And that is a good idea. You know, there's a little bit of money involved. Look at that. That is Motorcycle Park. And we could do that, but I would have a bike with no warranty and not as reliable. This is Motorcycle Field. August 24th, that is going to be full of motorcycles at the Baxter Cycle auction. And check that out. Go to baxtercycle.com and check out the information on that one. Anyway, so, you know, that is one route a guy could go. And you would have a nice bike. I've got a friend, good old Everett. He took one of these and he put the 462 and the cam and the Fuel X and some other goodies, and his motorcycle runs like mad. I mean, it's really quite a bike. But I think I can do the same thing by simply trading this one in for the other, and hoping that I'm sorry, and hoping that I get something that'll work better than an upgraded one of these. And a new bike will have that new 3-year warranty, you know, 3-year unlimited mile warranty from Royal Enfield, and that means quite a bit. It'll also have the modern technology, and you know, one of the shortcomings of this motorcycle is actually this dash. Even though I've grown used to it, when I got this bike, I thought the dash is from 1980, you know. And it kind of is, but I've also grown to love the dash. Now, if you look at it, it rattles and it shakes and it's full of dust. All that dust is actually on the inside, or a lot of it anyway. And that's just part of owning a bike like this, you know. The compass has never worked on this bike. It said southeast for so long that I thought I was going to end up in Florida. Look at how that handles, you know. Excellent clutch feel. Excellent clutch feel. Either that or I'm just really used to it. It's a great motorcycle. It really is. You know, some of the neat things I did with this, I rode 640 miles one day. I was in Missouri. I went down to Arkansas. The rain started falling. I turned around, went back up into Missouri. I was going to get a hotel. Next thing I knew, I was home. I was in Iowa. 644-mile ride that day. We took it to a good buddy Gary and I. We went to South Dakota for several days, Wyoming also, and I rode 570 miles that day to get to I think it's called Hot Springs, or KOA. And Gary rode another 40 miles on top of that day, you know. And the bike just did it fine, you know, through the back roads of Nebraska at 60 to 65 miles an hour. It was just fabulous. A great running machine in that sense. Just a great machine. And you know, I'm getting kind of emotional here telling you about this and how I'm going to trade it off. But I'm hoping the new one will, you know, overcome that. Another great thing this bike was, Guthrie County is near here, and that's one of Iowa's most beautiful, most rugged counties, at least on the west edge of Iowa. And lots of what we call Class B roads, which can be rutted, and they're maintained about twice a year in the before the planting season, before the harvest season. They get a little attention from the county. And this bike just does those things well. It goes up and down hills well. It goes through the sand well. It just does it all. It just does it all. Problems I've had with the bike. Let's go to that. The seats. Let's start with the seats. The first seat, about 8,000 miles in, was just plumb wore out. So I got myself the Royal Enfield touring seat. 8,000 miles. That was later. That was wore out. So now we're at 16,000 miles. Well, I'd purchased myself a seat concept seat, which I still have on to this day. So that'd be what, 14,000 miles now? And that has been one of the best ads I got for this motorcycle. Very comfortable seat. I'm very happy with it, and makes this bike incredibly rideable. Other problems I had. This is a 2021. That was about the worst year for what they called the stalling problem. That's where you'd come to a stop sign, pull your clutch in at a stop sign, and the bike would just die. And you hit the start button, and it'd start right back up, and it'd run just fine. But kind of a nuisance. Very big pain in the rear, actually. And I got the bike. The first month, I think I put 4,000 or 5,000 miles on it, and it did that all the time. And I did not want to take the bike in because I didn't want to leave it, And finally, I took it in, and they, Baxter Cycle. As soon as they knew about it, they took the bike, ran it in the back. Half an hour later, they came out, and it was running great. About 90% of the problem was gone. Now, they told me, if it isn't all gone, bring it back. So I waited about a week or two, and then I brought it back, and they ran it in the back room again. They did some sort of magic stuff. Don't ask me what they did, because I really do not know. And the stalling problem just has not been an issue ever since. The bike runs great. I love riding it. It's got it's a low-power bike with loads of personality, and it just runs very well. It's a friendly personality. It's not one of those personalities that you want to spit at, but we never take this little road here, so let's do that today, huh? Oh, that was a thrill, wasn't it? So that was another problem. One day I came out to my motorcycle, and there was just a little bit of gasoline on the ground. So I checked it out. I had a little leak in my gas tank, and that's because the venting system for the tank had plugged up for some reason. Took it into Baxter Cycle, and they got me a new gas tank ASAP. They fixed the venting problem ASAP, and never been a problem ever since. One of the biggest, most persistent problems I've had was the rattling in the front end between the headlight and the instrument cluster. And on this bike, if you reach up here when you're going down the road and put your hand on this metal frame in the front, it rattles like the dickens. It's just one of the traits of this bike. And I think over time, things in the headlight and things in the cluster just kind of come apart. Now, we talked about getting a new cluster, instrument cluster, this thing here. That would reset my system to zero miles, and it would also, over time, it would probably just do it again. So why mess with it? I thought, I can live with this, no big deal. And then I added this thing, and that's become my speedometer de facto right there. Very nice, very nice. It's a fun bike. I've really enjoyed owning it. I know I'm not telling you everything about it that I can think of, other than I just love owning it. I love riding it. It's just been a treat, a real hoot of a bike, and I'm really going to miss it when she goes. I've thought about keeping it and just pushing it in the corner. It's kind of nostalgia, but I think I'm going to trade it in, and maybe Baxter's can keep it. Well, some of the things I've done with this that I've loved, out in the middle of the sandhills, you come over a hill, and suddenly you can see 100 square miles in every direction, and I just did that here a couple weeks ago, and way off to the south it was raining, way off to the west, was the heavy clouds, way off to the north the clouds were reaching all the way down to the ground, and way off over yonder that way is a little bit of patch of sunlight, and rolling hills and just incredible long vistas, and you know, fabulous. Or when I went down to Missouri with it, you know, and crawling through national forests and these dirt back roads and just having all kinds of fun with that. You know, just a real treat of a motorcycle. Well, my friends, I am going on and on and on. I think I'm going to cut it short here. If you have any questions about this kind of a motorcycle, please put in the comments below. If you know anybody with a bike like this that has got as many miles or close to as many miles or more miles, I would love to see their videos or hear their thoughts on the bike and know what they're going to do with the upcoming new Himalayan. If y'all are interested in a motorcycle like this, new or used, Royal Enfield, Triumph, classic British bike of any type, get yourself over here to the mighty metropolis of Marnie, Iowa, Baxter Cycle, and those guys can help you out. Or go to baxtercycle.com. They've got motorcycles, gear, accessories, parts, boots, gloves, jackets, all kinds of good stuff, and they're also they sell vintage British bikes. They're the largest vintage British bike part supplier in North America. Or go to baxtercycle.com. Make sure to tell those fine folks that Fuzzy Bikers sent you. Hey, Exhaust Pipe Alley. Let's hear what it sounds like. That is a dead stock Royal Enfield Himalayan with 30,000 miles on it. All right, my friends, I think I'm going to turn this camera off and go for a motorcycle ride. Y'all should do the same. Life is good. Life is good. Get out there and live it. Wahoo! Yippee-yi-yay! Yippee-yi-yo! Down the road we go. Beautiful, beautiful machine.